What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Weekly GCap, the only source you'll ever need to catch up on all the gaming news from the last week. And as always, if there's only a few stories that interest you, feel free to use the chapters down in the description, as well as they should show up there in the time bar if you just kind of scroll through the video. First things first, let's go ahead and go over all the major game releases from the last week. This is a lengthy one. Are you ready? February 28th, Monster Hunter Wilds. February 27th, Yu-Gi-Oh! Early Days Collection. And then February 25th, Ninja 5.0, which is now available on more platforms than before. Yeah. So all the releases this week, or at least the big major ones. There's obviously always big indie games coming out and a bunch of shovelware on the eShop, but in terms of the major game releases, yeah. Don't get me wrong, there's some great games in that list, of course. I'm just kind of missing when, you know, when it gets like later in the year and that part of the show starts to kind of drag out and there's like dozens of games coming out every week. There's games from all corners, you don't even know what to do, but we'll be there before too long. Next, Mages of Mystralia is free on Epic Games. This will be free until March 6th at 11 a.m. EST, so you might as well go redeem it because there's no better price than free. Next up, I got the March PlayStation Plus Essential Games for you guys. So these will be available March 4th, and they are as follows: Dragon Age the Veilguard for PlayStation 5, Sonic Colors Ultimate for PlayStation 4, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles the Cowabunga Collection for PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. And for those that are unaware, the Cowabunga Collection actually consists of 13 games, so if you want to get technical here, we're actually getting 15 games this month. No, but seriously, this is an amazing lineup, and it sets a pretty exciting precedent for the future of PlayStation Plus Essential. That being said, if we go from this to something like Firefighting Simulator next month, or one of those other random simulators on PSN, I mean, you know, it's not that I'll be disappointed, I'll just kind of be like, okay, Sony. Next up, the Dune Awakening release date was announced. I know a lot of people have been waiting for this one, so I figured I'd go ahead and mention it. For those that are unaware, this is an MMO that is coming out centered around the Dune IP, but it's actually pretty interesting spin on it, so let's get into this. That's coming from Gamatsu. Quote, open world survival massively multiplayer online game, aka MMO, Dune Awakening will launch for PC via Steam on May 20th for $49.99 USD, Funcom announced. The PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series versions will follow at a later date, as previously announced, and then there's a bit of a synopsis about the game that explains that Dune Awakening is an open-world MMO game on a massive scale. More than just survival, Dune Awakening offers a large-scale, persistent, and highly immersive world, with social hubs bustling with other players, server-wide politics and intrigue, and a cinematic storyline that will leave you at the edge of your seat. The Fremen have vanished, Paul Atreides was never born, Lady Jessica obeyed the Bean Gesserit, I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with Dune, I don't know how to pronounce a lot of this, Gesserit, and gave birth to a girl. Duke Leto Atreides survived the assault on Arrakeen, and is now locked in a brutal conflict with the Harkonnen over Arrakis and its precious spice. End quote. So again, I don't know a whole lot about Dune there, but it goes on to explain even more about it, so if you want to read more about it, you can either go watch the trailer, just look up the article on Gamatsu there, but again, that'll be coming out May 20th for $49.99 USD, so not going the free route, not a subscription route, just a flat fee. I know there's been a lot of hype around this one, so I'm excited to see how it does and how it plays and what it is just when it releases. Next up, Fable has been delayed to 2026. This one really bummed me out. This is coming from The Verge. Quote, Microsoft has decided to delay the release window of its upcoming Fable game to 2026. The Xbox maker originally said last year that Fable would arrive at some point in 2025, but now Xbox Game Studios chief Craig Duncan has provided an update on the game during an appearance on the official Xbox podcast. Quote, we previously announced the date for Fable as 25. We are actually going to give Fable more time, and it's going to ship in 2026 now, says Duncan. While I know that's not maybe the news people want to hear, what I want to assure people of is that it's definitely worth the wait. I have unequivocal confidence in the Playground team, end quote. I have been waiting years for the next Fable, so hearing that it's been delayed to next year really does bum me out, but it is what it is. If they need more time, they need more time. I'd rather wait longer for a finished, complete, and polished game rather than receive something, you know, that clearly isn't ready, full of bugs, this, that, and the other, so Fable, we'll see you in 2026. Next up, we got a whole lot of reading to do, so strap in. Grand Theft Auto 5 is receiving a PC upgrade. This coming from RockstarGames.com. Quote, on March 4th, Grand Theft Auto 5 on PC is getting a free upgrade with sought-after features previously only available on the consoles, PS5 and Xbox Series, versions of GTA Online. All players who currently own GTA 5 on PC will be able to upgrade to this new version for free and transfer over all your progress from story mode and online. Once upgraded, current PC players, along with anyone playing the game for the first time, will have access to a full suite of much requested GTA Online upgrades previously only available on the latest consoles. You'll be able to enjoy a new range of vehicles and upgrades at House Special Work, encounter ambient animals all across southern San Andreas, and take pictures of them to participate in the daily wildlife photography challenge for new rewards. PC players will be able to sign up for the GTA Plus membership. You'll be able to track your criminal movements across all of GTA Online's updates with the career progress feature. Navigate a refreshed landing page as your starting destination to get straight into the action, plus take advantage of an improved introductory flow for newer players with $4 million. This can be used to buy property, vehicles, and other items when you start off as an executive, gunrunner, nightclub owner, or biker in the career builder. It also includes kernel-based anti-cheat protections. Thank God, that has been much needed on PC. Hopefully this will actually help with the hacker and cheating situation, because it's honestly kind of a risk to play GTA on PC at the moment. But it also has proactive voice chat moderation to help keep GTA Online fun, but, you know, it's kind of safe for everybody. In terms of the technical updates, we're looking at ray tracing features only available on PC, such as ambient occlusion and global illumination. Again, these are ray traced AO and GI, plus ray trace shadows and reflections first debuted on consoles. Support for AMD FSR 1, 3, and NVIDIA DLSS 3. Faster loading times using SSD and direct storage on supported devices and configurations. Enhanced support for higher resolutions, higher aspect ratios, higher frame rates. DualSense controller support with adaptive triggers. Enhanced audio with support for Dolby Atmos and improved fidelity of speech, cinematics, and music. In terms of the specs, you're going to need at least Windows 10, the latest service pack, but it is recommended for you to have Windows 11. In terms of the processor, you're going to need at least an Intel Core i7 4770, or the equivalent of that being an AMD FX 9590, but it is recommended that you have an i5 9600K at least, or an AMD Ryzen 5 3600. In terms of the memory, just minimum, you can have 8 gigabytes of RAM, but it is recommended that you have 16 gigs of dual channel RAM. Again, dual channel. But again, you can get by with 8 gigs. In terms of the graphics, it is absolute minimum. You're going to need a NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1630 with 4 gigabytes of VRAM, or an AMD Radeon RX 6400, again, 4 gigabytes of VRAM. But with those cards, obviously, you're not going to have access to the ray tracing capabilities, because you would need at least a 20 series NVIDIA card in order to be able to access those. It is then recommended that you have an RTX 3060 with 8 gigs of VRAM, or the Radeon RX 6600 XT with 8 gigabytes of VRAM, which again, you'd obviously be able to actually access ray tracing with those cards. And it is also worth mentioning, which we'll get to later on, that you don't actually need to upgrade to this. So if your PC is a bit weaker and if you're having a heart attack right now, don't worry, you'll be safe. In terms of the storage, you're going to need a minimum of 105 gigabytes on an SSD, but they recommend that you have a direct storage compatible drive. In terms of the sound card and audio, it is just bare minimum, 100% DirectX 10 compatible, which I feel like everybody's PC can, you know, at least meet that standard. And then, but it is recommended that you have Windows Spatial Sound compatible audio system, solution containing Dolby Atmos support required for a Dolby Atmos experience. That's a mouthful. And then they go on to mention at the bottom that support for the previous version of GTA 5 will continue, allowing anyone whose hardware does not currently meet the minimum requirements of the new upgrade to keep playing. This also ensures that support for 5M will continue uninterrupted while we work to extend for it on the upgraded version. Please note that to maintain this support, the original version of GTA Online on PC will be a separate instance, and players who remain on that version will not be able to play in sessions together with those on the upgraded version. PC players who want to play with each other will need to ensure they're playing the same version of the game. Both versions will be available to everyone who upgrades, and first-time purchasers will get access to both versions as well." End quote. So again, even if you don't have the game already, and say your PC's rather weak, but you get it, you know, on sale in the future for one reason or another, you can still get the previous version of the game. That being said, I understand they're making a lot of changes here, but I don't understand why they couldn't just make this an update to the game, or provide the same amount of scaling in the versions, because, you know, theoretically speaking, you can have the exact same game, which this is going to be the exact same game, technically speaking, and will be updated the same for both. And as they even mentioned here, it's recommended that you have at least a minimum of a GTX 1630, which obviously isn't a ray tracing card, which means that ray tracing isn't going to be required like it is in, say, something like Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, where you can't even boot the game if your PC doesn't have a ray tracing GPU equipped to the motherboard. So it just kind of makes me scratch my head, because obviously there is scalability there. Obviously you can disable some of the hardcore features like ray tracing and the various different versions of it, as they mentioned here, with like the ambient occlusion and the global illumination. But if you're already able to disable those things, and if the settings are as tweakable as they are before, then are they just kind of full of it? And would you actually still technically be able to run this newer version of the game on older systems? Are they bumping up what used to be the low settings to being something that's a bit higher now to, I don't know, maybe fit more with whatever like style they're going for? Like it's really hard to say why the specs across the board are going up when they're adding something like, say, ray tracing and some of those other features, especially when they're already saying that the previous version of the game and this version of the game are still technically going to be one and the same. So couldn't they have just made it an update with these new options? You know, I feel like I'm going in circles here. Look at a game like Minecraft, for example. You had those like RTX mods or those like RTX packs that they were showing off, which means like, yeah, dude, you're going to need like a hardcore system to play Minecraft with ray tracing. Still not sure why they never released that. That'd be, you know, it looked absolutely beautiful, and I would have probably just left that on indefinitely when playing Minecraft, but, you know, conversation for a different day. While yes, it would have been possible to play Minecraft with ray tracing and make it absolutely insane, you probably still would have been able to play it on a $50 tablet like you can now, you know what I mean? So I don't know, that's just what it is, but I figured I'd let you guys know because it is interesting to see that, yeah, 12 years on, GTA 5, even though GTA 6 is on the horizon, is still getting updated, and it's getting one heck of an upgrade here soon on PC. Next up, keeping with the GTA news, it turns out that GTA 5 Online could be updated after GTA 6 releases. This coming from Kotaku. In a new interview with IGN, the head of Rockstar Games' parent company Take-Two, Strauss Zelnick, was asked why players should continue to invest time and money into GTA Online when the next big game in the series is possibly just 8 months away from launching. Of course, Zelnick couldn't talk specifically about GTA 6's online multiplayer, which has yet to be revealed by Rockstar, but he did cite an old NBA game as example of how Take-Two has a track record of supporting games that people are still playing. Quote, "I'm going to speak theoretically only because I'm not going to talk about a particular project when an announcement hasn't been made, but generally speaking, we support our properties when the consumers aren't involved with those titles," said Zelnick. As an example, we launched NBA 2K Online in China, I think originally in 2012 if I'm not mistaken, and then we launched NBA 2K Online 2 in China in 2017. We did not sunset Online. They both are still in the market and they serve consumers and they're alive and we have this massive audience. So we've shown a willingness to support legacy titles when a community wants to be engaged with them. End quote. So yeah, you know, first things first, if you were worried about GTA Online just kind of automatically going offline once GTA 6 or GTA 6 Online releases, you have nothing to worry about. That obviously wouldn't happen because even after GTA 6 releases, there is going to be the whole nostalgia factor because to this day, people still go back and play GTA 4 Online for that nostalgia. And I mean, you know, I'm one of those people still booting up my 360 and my PS3 from time to time, you know, hopping on GTA 4 just to see who's still online, just get a hit of that nostalgia because those games are all-time classics and are still so much fun to this day and always will be. And of course, the same will always be said for GTA Online, GTA 5 Online specifically, if not to a greater extent just because of how long this game has been around, how huge the game has become, because GTA has always been huge, but GTA 5 really took things to the next level. It's literally one of the best-selling games of all time. So if you're worried about GTA Online going offline, you know, just like as soon as GTA 6 releases or the online component of the game, you have nothing to worry about there. That being said, the prospect of the game possibly continuing to get updated alongside GTA 6 Online even is pretty interesting to me, and I would be genuinely interested to see how that would look, you know what I mean? Like, would there be, you feel like there would be some sort of conflicts of interest there, right? But maybe in a world where, say, somebody's PC isn't powerful enough to run GTA 6, or maybe they're still playing on PlayStation 4 or Xbox One, and they haven't been able to upgrade for, you know, to PS5, Xbox Series for one reason or another, just, you know, due to inflation in the insane market nowadays, let's be honest, then they can still play GTA Online on those consoles, because even though the 360 and PS3 versions of GTA Online went offline years ago at this point, you know, the PS4 and Xbox One versions are still alive, healthy, and well, and are very populated, and is still one of the most active games on a month-to-month basis, just according to the charts and even sales and such. So I do see a world where not only does GTA Online stay active for many years to come, because I mean, let's be honest, if GTA 4 Online has been alive for this long, then yeah, GTA 5 Online, it'll be alive for a long time. But also I could see it theoretically being supported in the future, especially again for those folks that are either stuck on last-gen consoles, or maybe they just, you know, they just prefer GTA 5 Online even after GTA 6 Online releases. So I think that would be pretty interesting, and I'll put it like this. On one hand, this is cool to hear for people that enjoy GTA 5 Online, but also given how quickly Rockstar is, you know, how quickly they're willing to just kind of bounce off of a project or just kind of abandon something. Cough, cough, Red Dead Redemption 2 Online. Take everything with a grain of salt. Next up, we finally got a bit of an explanation around The Last of Us Online. Now, this is an explanation that we already heard before from Naughty Dog themselves, you know, just talking about how they didn't exactly have the resources to support a live service game, and it would have taken too much away from their initiative to make single-player games. But now we have a bit of insight from the former PlayStation Studios boss, Shuhei Yoshida. So, this is coming from Push Square. Quote, as speaking, you know, as part of an interview with Sacred Symbols Plus, ex-PS Studios boss Shuhei Yoshida revealed that he played the game and it was great, referring to Last of Us Online. Quote, "The idea for The Last of Us Online came from Naughty Dog and they really wanted to make it," he explained, but Bungie explained to them what it takes to make live service games, and Naughty Dog realized, oops, we can't do that. If we do it, we can't make Intergalactic the Heretic Prophet. So that was a lack of foresight. Yoshida continued that, to his knowledge, no first-party studio has been forced to make live service games. He noted that sometimes teams see the direction the company is heading and pitch their titles accordingly. Quote, "From my experience, when studios see the company has a big initiative, they realize riding on that gives them a better chance of getting a project approved and supported," he explained. "It's not like current PS Studios boss Herman Hulse is telling teams they need to make live service games. It's likely mutual." Yoshida then simply concluded, "Yeah, it sucks," referring to the cancellation of like Last of Us Online and just, you know, the live service stuff in general. And that really is a shame, man. You know, I've said it before, I'm not huge on online games, right? Like, I play Call of Duty a lot, always have, always will, but in terms of like other live service games, that's just kind of like my main bread and butter. I don't dabble with a whole lot of other live service games. That being said, Last of Us is one of my top 5 games of all time. Last of Us Part 1 and 2. I'm sorry, there's Part 1 and Part 2. They're called Part 1 and Part 2 for a reason. You can't have one without the other, man. I love both those games, no matter the controversy. But, you know, also getting something like Last of Us Online, I honestly would have really dug that. Again, not always huge on online games, but I would have been really happy to experience it, and who knows, maybe it could have actually sunken its teeth in me. It just sucks because they already made so much progress on developing it, and then it just kind of, you know, just kind of fizzles out and just kind of gone with the wind, which is the unfortunate reality of a lot of these canceled projects, because no matter how much work was done to them, they essentially become lost media unless, you know, it gets leaked out for one reason or another, which, to that extent, you know, it's also a shame sometimes when things get leaked out, because certain things that get leaked out that shouldn't have been leaked out sometimes get out in the public, especially when it comes to personal information and such, so that isn't always the best. But I will say, as somebody that just loves video game preservation and the history of video games, and just selfishly wants to see what this project could have looked like for the next generation of The Last of Us, because, I mean, we've kind of had a look at what the next generation of The Last of Us will look like with The Last of Us Part 1 remake, but we haven't had a fully original Last of Us game, obviously, this generation outside of Part 1, so I would have really liked to see this, but, you know, it's cool to hear that at least it would have been fun, it would have been cool, but we'll never get tried for ourselves, unfortunately. Next up, Warner Bros. Has shut down multiple game studios and canceled their Wonder Woman game. This is coming from Bloomberg.com. Quote, "Warner Bros. Discovery Inc. is closing 3 video game studios and halting work on a highly anticipated Wonder Woman title in a bid to boost the profitability of its interactive entertainment business." So for those that don't know, there was a Wonder Woman game in development. It was announced back in 2021, but again, the studio that was working on it has been shut down, and therefore the game itself has been shelved and canceled probably indefinitely. And it's really a shame because the studio that was shut down, Monolith Productions, along with some other ones that we'll get to, is the one that made Shadow of Mordor, Shadow of War, you know, the Middle-earth games, and those had the Nemesis system. And there was inklings that that system could have potentially been worked into the Wonder Woman game, which I think the prospect of that would have been freaking cool. But anyway, let's keep reading here. Monolith Productions' Player First Games and Warner Bros. Games San Diego are being shuttered, according to a memo to staff viewed by Bloomberg News. The cuts reflect a refocusing of the games division on major franchises such as Harry Potter, Mortal Kombat, Game of Thrones, and DC Comics, primarily Batman. Quote, "The quality of too many of our new releases has really missed the mark," JB Perrette, head of games and streaming for Warner Bros., wrote in the memo. "We need to make some substantial changes to our portfolio and team structure if we are to commit the necessary resources to get back to a fewer but bigger franchises strategy." In a statement to Bloomberg, a spokesperson for Warner Bros. Games said the shutdowns were not a reflection of those teams or the talent that consists within them. End quote. So if the shutdowns weren't a result of the talent, then why would you fire them? Because you shut down a studio like Monolith Productions, which has proved time and time and time again with the countless masterpieces they have put out, with the constant innovations they have put out, like with the Nemesis system in the Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War games. You shut down a studio that capable and that talented that could seriously help you out and seriously bring some new innovation to the table when it comes to your bigger franchises, and yet you shut them down. Why? Because they're not currently working on something? I'm sorry, you're Warner Bros. Aren't you, like, wiping your butt with Benjamins over there? Aren't y'all, like, rich AF? You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand. I know bottom line and all that, but sometimes it's worth temporarily hurting your bottom line to long-term and, you know, permanently help your bottom line. Shutdowns and layoffs are always short-sighted. Rarely are they actually genuinely thought out, because for the most part, obviously there's exceptions, you have overstaffing and such, and sometimes when one project ends, and you know how that goes, right? Like, sometimes the layoffs are just kind of inevitable, sometimes people are going to leave a studio, but in a situation like this, when they're literally wiping their butt with Benjamins and they're shutting down these insanely talented studios, it would be worth more for them if they would invest something now to get an amazing best-selling product later. Look at it like the stock market. You invest $100 now, and even though you may not see a return on investment for years to come, you just gotta wait for that one big boom and suddenly your $100 becomes $1,000. I mean, let's be real, adjusting for inflation with the way that, things have been going, maybe that 1,000 isn't actually worth that much, but you know what I mean, jokes aside, seriously. Yet ironically, for companies that are all about investors and such, they're short-sighted and worried about making their current fiscal year look good, rather than making their subsequent fiscal years look even better. You know what I mean? But I'm not a businessman. I'm just, some Asian dude looking at the gaming news and ranting, so what do I know? And finally, I have a recap of the Xbox ID showcase that took place on February 24th. So we're just gonna run through the game titles, run through when they're releasing, if a release date was given, if they're coming to Game Pass, all that. This is being sourced from the official news.xbox.com Xbox Newswire, so it's all good, it's all here, all the information that should be here is here. You ready? 33 Immortals, launching March 18th. Balatro, available now on Game Pass. Blueprints, coming to Game Pass April 10th. It's a day one release for the service. Buckshot Roulette, coming to Xbox and Game Pass. No date yet. Descenders Next, launching April 9th. Echo Weaver, coming to Xbox and Game Pass. Hurdling, coming to Xbox and Windows PC. Hotel Barcelona, launching 2025. Jump Ship, coming to Xbox Game Preview. Liza P. Overture, the DLC for the game, got a new story trailer. The Lonesome Guild saw its world premiere. Moonlighter 2, The Endless Vault, coming to Game Pass. Outbound, coming to Xbox in 2026. Ratatan, coming to Xbox. Revenge of the Savage Planet, coming to Game Pass on May 8th. Rock Beast, we saw the world premiere for that. Tanuki, Pawn Summer, coming to Game Pass. Tempopo, coming to Game Pass on April 17th. Tron Catalyst, launching June 17th. Ultimate Cheap Raccoon, coming to Game Pass. Waxheads, launching summer 2026. And Widow, coming to Xbox. And there you have it. If you're interested in any of the titles, you can just go kind of Google up the names. I know sometimes these recaps don't always do the games justice because we're just running through like 5 billion titles all at once, but that's just kind of the point of it. I give you the titles, let you know when they're coming out, and then if they interest you, you can do more research. Because if I was to go in depth on every game, we'd have to add like another 20 minutes to this show, and I've been yapping for long enough. You probably have a headache from listening to my annoying voice, so let's wrap things up. But anyway, that is all the stories that I have for you guys this week, so yeah, that's it. That's all I gotta say. If you want to catch new episodes of WGC when they go live every single Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern. I'd love to have you here. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. Have an amazing day and an amazing weekend. Stay beautiful. I love you all. Peace.